Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Chris Rivera. I'm the President, CEO, and Chairman of the Board at Nativis here in Seattle, Washington. I'm here at the 16th Annual Life Science Innovation Northwest, sponsored by Life Science Washington. It's my pleasure today to be here with Don Baker. I'm sorry, Don. Yes. Congratulations, you were just inducted into the Washington State Life Science Hall of Fame. How does that feel?
It's a little overwhelming. You don't start out life with that as your objective. If you do your thing along the way, in the end it comes out. And so 30 years later, we see all these things unfold.
Tell me a little bit about how the invention came about from the University of Washington.
Well, you don't start out by having a vision of a final solution. We were given an objective by Rushmer. He wanted to characterize the cardiovascular system in engineering terms. That means measurement of dimensions, blood flow, and pressure. It was up to us to decide how to do it. So given that as a charge, we had to resort to fundamental concepts to create the building blocks for a solution. So really, the process of developing an instrument, it is a process. And it went on for 10 years or more because you had to completely analyze the vision. See, what is the vision? What is the part of the vision? What building blocks do you have to create that you can reassemble to create a finished thing?
So just so everybody on the other side of the camera knows exactly, you were really the driving force behind the invention of ultrasound imaging, which has become a multi-billion-dollar industry around the world and has impacted tens of millions of people's lives, right?
Yes, that's correct. We had the good fortune. At first, we started with the continuous wave blood flow. And because of the limitations of that, we could not navigate around within the heart. We could not evaluate in a child a septal defect, a hole between the cheeks. So that led to the development of the pulse Doppler. The pulse Doppler allowed us to know where in the body we were. By combining the Doppler with imaging and overlaying the flow, that led to the color flow, and it gives you multidimensional information about the subject. And that was a whole system.
So how does it feel to be the father of an industry that has changed people's lives?
It caused me many times to think about what happened. People asked me, how did you do it? I feel somewhat like a band leader. I was able to assemble a group of other engineers. I mean, had engineers referred to me from Duke University, from the Swiss Federal Institute, from Stanford, said, you need these people. They would join the program. I was the catalyst that kept them moving, and so because it's such a large project, each one was allowed to contribute their special knowledge. And I can name components of the present system. He did this, he did that. Mm-hmm. And so engineering is a team effort, and that's really what it was.
If you were going to start over, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, there were others, that was not the end of the development. When the federal funding ran out for programs like this, we were at the beginning of defining the smart learning machine that could learn from the procedures that were being used by and give like a third opinion. And so the next generation, which has not been built yet, will involve more artificial intelligence, more computer technology, and engineers and physicians working together have to learn how to make that work.
As As a pioneer, how would you advise young entrepreneurs today? What are some of your life lessons learned?
I think probably the most important message, you can't predict what issues you may end up having to face. So the engineer needs to devote their life to constant learning.
Besides ultrasound imaging, what are some of the biggest advancement in technology you've seen or you consider in your lifetime?
Well, the evolution from the analog world into the integrated circuit digital world where devices can be programmed and modified their function. In the beginning, none of that was feasible. We could conceive of things like that, but we had no way to do it. And the forerunners of Intel, Fairchild, and so on hadn't yet developed the large-scale integrated methods.
Tell me a little bit about your career path. How did you start? Background in education. How did you get into engineering?
Originally, I was going into industrial design.
Okay.
I have artistic aptitude, mechanical engineering, and I was going to go into automation and so on. The Korean War started, and they were taking people into the service. So I went to the Air Force, volunteered, and got into airborne radar fire control systems. So I had 4 years of electronics. When I returned to the university, I decided electrical engineering. And when I was a junior, I was in class with Wayne Quinton. Mm-hmm. And he was a friend of Rushmer. He said, I know of a position that you might be interested in. And he suggested that I speak to Dr. Rushmer, which I did. And I had recently just finished a project with John Fluke to instrument the first reactor in chemical engineering. And so that led into starting the development of instruments with Rushmer and eventually became head of the program.
It's an amazing story, and I'm sure we could sit here and chat for a long, long time about it. But one last question. How have you enjoyed today's conference?
How is what?
How have you enjoyed the conference today?
For me, I enjoyed it. I hadn't been to the podium and speak to an audience, and I felt completely relaxed, and I felt I was back in my element. So it was easy.
Well, you did a phenomenal job, and again, congratulations. We're all very proud of you. You've built an industry that is going to last for generations to come.
There's more to be done.
Excellent. I'm sure there is. This is Chris Rivera again from Life Science Innovation Northwest. Have a great afternoon.